In Beyond Anxiety, Martha Beck opens with a powerful distinction between fear and anxiety. Fear is immediate and tied to real danger, like stepping out of the way of a speeding car. Anxiety, however, is anticipatory and disconnected from reality. It lives in the future and is rooted in what-if thinking. This difference is critical, as the strategies we use to cope with real danger often exacerbate anxiety when misapplied. She introduces the concept of the anxiety spiral, a vicious cycle where thoughts fuel physical responses, which in turn feed back into more fear-driven thoughts. This loop strengthens over time, embedding anxiety into the body and mind. The more one tries to suppress it, the more power it gains. This spiral keeps us in a state of hypervigilance, disconnected from the present moment. Beck critiques modern culture's obsession with certainty, productivity, and constant stimulation. These societal norms reinforce the anxiety spiral by making people feel inadequate, rushed, and perpetually on edge. She argues that anxiety is not a personal failing but a social illness, born from expectations that no human nervous system can sustain over time. One of the key insights in the book is that anxiety originates in the brain's left hemisphere, home to language, logic, and analysis. While useful for many tasks, the left brain tends to overanalyze, catastrophize, and cling to rigid patterns. When left unchecked, it dominates our perception, cutting us off from the present and causing the mind to invent endless worst-case scenarios. To counterbalance this, Beck encourages readers to re-engage the right hemisphere, which is associated with creativity, intuition, and connection to the present moment. The right brain doesn't operate through language or control, it communicates through images, movement, and emotion. Practices like drawing, dancing, or being in nature can help shift the balance and calm the nervous system. A major focus of Beck's method is what she calls wordlessness. This doesn't mean silencing the mind entirely, but creating moments where verbal thought is turned down, and raw experience is turned up. In these wordless states, we can feel what is happening without interpreting it. Wordlessness interrupts the anxiety spiral and allows space for something new to emerge. Beck also explores how anxiety is stored in the body. She describes how unprocessed fear and stress settle in muscles, breath patterns, and posture. People may walk around with clenched jaws or shallow breathing without realizing it. She includes somatic techniques, like conscious breathing and gentle movement, to help the body unlearn its anxious responses. Mindfulness is another cornerstone of her approach. Beck doesn't treat mindfulness as a buzzword but returns it to its roots, the radical practice of observing what is, without judgment. Even anxiety itself becomes an object of observation. In doing so, anxiety loses its grip. Instead of being inside the storm, we learn to stand next to it and watch it pass. She urges readers to practice loving presence, a gentle self-attention that meets every experience with kindness. This presence doesn't fight anxiety or try to eliminate it. Instead, it welcomes it as a messenger. Often, Beck writes, anxiety appears when we're not living in alignment with our deeper truths, and it pushes us to recenter. Beck introduces the idea of creative anxiety, reframing anxious energy as a kind of inner compass. She tells stories of people who, rather than pushing anxiety away, followed it like a trail of breadcrumbs. Many found themselves making long overdue changes, quitting jobs, leaving toxic relationships, or beginning new creative paths. When used as fuel for transformation, anxiety becomes a gift. The book is rich with Beck's personal stories and those of her clients. She shares her own lifelong journey with anxiety, marked by panic attacks and self-doubt. Her honesty makes the book relatable and grounded. The stories are not polished tales of instant success, but nuanced accounts of struggle, experimentation, and real breakthroughs. Beck also examines how trauma, both personal and inherited, underlies many forms of chronic anxiety. She acknowledges that some fears are not imagined but come from real pain. Healing, she suggests, begins with validating that pain and recognizing how it still lives in the nervous system. Practices like trauma-informed therapy and EMDR are mentioned as helpful complements to her work. There is a strong emphasis on play throughout the book. Beck insists that play is not frivolous, but essential for nervous system health. In moments of genuine play, improv, music, games, the body enters a state of safety and engagement that counters anxiety directly. Play is the antidote to the rigid control that anxiety craves. Connection is another vital ingredient. Beck notes that isolation is both a cause and symptom of anxiety. She encourages building relationships where vulnerability is met with compassion, rather than judgment. Even brief moments of authentic connection, a kind glance, a shared laugh, have powerful regulating effects on the nervous system. Spiritually, Beck suggests that anxiety often appears when we are ignoring a call from the deeper self. She doesn't push a particular religious perspective but invites readers to explore their own source of meaning. The anxiety that comes from soul suppression is persistent, but when we align with who we truly are, that anxiety transforms into calm energy. In the end, Beyond Anxiety is less about eliminating anxiety and more about evolving in its presence. Beck helps readers shift their relationship to anxiety, from enemy, to signal, to guide. By honoring the wisdom within it, and responding with compassion, creativity, and presence, we can move not just beyond anxiety, but into a life of greater freedom, purpose, and connection.